I've been 20 years ahead of this broadcast community since the day I stepped into it because I knew, one, I wasn't wanted. Two, I was not going to be accepted. So three, I said, okay, how do you gain acceptance? You have to be smarter than they are. It's as simple as that. You have to tell them things that hurt them to their heart, but make them but compels them to listen. Now, they're going to go away and do whatever they want to do, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop telling them. And it boils down to that. We have to have an understanding through education. You have so many of our black children, and we can start with Boston and branch out, that are destroyed in the educational system every day because it keeps them as lower class citizens. As long as that goes on, you're going to have that dynamic of the haves, the have-nots, and the few blacks that make it up there, and you think you're better than the ones that didn't make it, you're not. As long as you have that division, you're always going to have problems.
Well, that's what I need to. So what I'm looking for from you is how do we get around that dynamic? What's going to change that dynamic if it's going to be a better world for our kids or a better country for our kids? What's the catalyst? How's that going to happen?
This generation has to die. We got to die off. We have to die off maybe in large numbers, maybe a cataclysmic event such as a nuclear event in the world or something that just wipes out so much of the world. And maybe younger people have to start over again. Because as long as we are human beings, we're probably going to have racism, regardless of what you think. We're going to have sexism. We're always going to have the isms that paralyze us as people. So consequently, that's why when you asked me, I said, I don't see it happening. And you said, ever? I said, not in this generation particularly. Maybe my godchildren, or maybe the next 2 or 3 generations down. Because everybody loves to say, oh, America's better than, Jimmy, what are you complaining about? It's so much better now than it was before. Okay, so you don't hang me literally from a pole. You hang me figuratively, right, because you want to destroy my mind. You want to imprison me mentally every single day. Make sure that I can't make but so much money. Make sure I can't, that put all those barriers there to make sure every time I want to say something or do something, you have to put up a wall. How do you think that's going to change anything?
Well, listen, well, talk to me about accountability then. Talk to me about our leaders of color, the black leaders of color, the educators, the politicians, the philanthropists. What part do these groups, what part do these people play in pulling a race forward? It can't just be about what others won't allow to have happen. What about looking internally to pull ourselves forward? Where do you come down on that? What's your thoughts?
I followed Malcolm. I followed Martin. I read their philosophies. 2 of the greatest black men that have ever lived. And I realized the culture that white America wanted to accept Martin because they were scared to death of Malcolm. So I had to gauge a highway in there to get both of them to figure out what I want to take from here, what I want to take from here. And once my thinking started to evolve, I asked myself, okay, let me look at the black leaders that we have. You asked that question, and I got a very easy answer. Name me the single black leader of the black people today.
Today?
Today.
Would it not be Obama?
Right now.
Would it not be Obama?
No.
Who was it?
No. He would be technically, but I'm saying below the president. I'm talking about, name me a Martin Luther King we have right now. Name me a Malcolm that we have right now. Someone we could point to and say, this person could be considered a leader. We are a leaderless people. But on the same vein, I don't think we need a leader per se. I think we are all leaders. I think as a race of people, we have had to individually lead to get where we wanted to go. Now, these so-called leaders that you're talking about right now, these community leaders, we'll take Boston, these community people, what have they done? Well, you have a school system that does not work. A school system that doesn't. You have a school committee that has destroyed the educational system in this town in the last 10, 20 years and put our children so far back it may take another 20 years for them to catch up. Okay? That's all of you that are indicted on there, and you know who you are. Okay, then let's go to the political spectrum. Let's talk about the people that have been in office, that have had a chance to do something. How do you equate Governor Patrick? First black governor, second black governor in the history of this country since Reconstruction, and the first one in the history of Massachusetts. How do you assess his job?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to answer that question right now.
What?
Because I'm not going to answer. Because I'm asking the questions. I have you on the show because I want to hear what you have to say. Because people tune in every week. They see me. They don't see you every week.
All right, we'll go with that.
So we need to hear where Jimmy Myers is at. I mean, you and I can have that conversation later.
But I consider him a leader.
Yeah.
would I consider him a leader? That's what he asked about his leaders. I don't see that many of them. I see very few.
Right.
Very few.
So, but what I'm asking is, how do we as a people progress so that, as you talk about our kids being held down, how do we break that dynamic is what I want to know.
We break that dynamic by sitting with our children. We break that dynamic by not impregnating our women and running away. We break that dynamic by teaching our children as men and women. I don't mean that a male and a female have to be together. You don't have to be together to raise children. I've raised too many of your children by myself, just about, or with a little bit of help. And I don't have any biological children, and I'm running around raising everybody else's. And so many of them have become lawyers, doctors, and so forth. Because when you walk in my house, you see nothing but books. And you have to read in my house. TV off. You have to read. Everybody in my home reads. Gotcha. Everybody in my home writes. Everybody in my home spells, counts, and so forth. Gotcha. That's where it starts. Gotcha. Because, see, even during slavery, we had people, Nat Turner and a bunch of other people, Sojourner Truth, who taught us not having is not a reason for not getting. As long as the information's there, we can get it. So I say it starts with us. We have to stop talking about, well, white people did this to us. Okay, we're doing it to ourselves too. If we allow ourselves to be victims of this system, we don't go to PTA meetings. We don't go take care of our children in school. Not all of you, many of you are good parents. Disregard, okay? Sit there and pat yourself on the back and say, glad he's not talking about me. But I'm talking about too many of us who allow their kids to be out in the street after 1 o'clock at night, who allow their kids. I got parents running around here who know their kids are some big-time drug dealers, have guns in their homes, drugs in their homes. Come on, you're a sheriff. You cannot tell me that you don't see this every day. And you don't have to. I'm not questioning you about this. I'm saying if you're asking me this, it starts by the time a child is school age, 6 years old. If we don't have them by then, it's over. If we don't have their minds attuned to what's going on by preschool today, okay, look, you cannot let boys do this to you as a little girl. This is the same conversations I have with my goddaughters and godsons. You have to be this way with women. You have to do this. There's a set of rules. These rules are unbreakable. That's what you tell these children, and there will be major consequences if you break these rules.
Listen, we don't have a lot of time. What I want to do, and we got to have you back so that we can continue this discussion, but I want to shift real quick. So we've got a new mayor coming into the city of Boston, okay? So what's your thoughts on how the new mayor is going to move the city forward, and are folk of color, black people, Latin people, Asian people going to be, in your perspective, in the way you see it, going to be intimately involved with moving the city to the next level?
Very great question. Very simple answer. First part of the answer is this. There are a couple of appointments that are critical in Martin Walsh's first days. I would say the number one, to me, the number one priority must be the educational system. Who is going to be the superintendent of schools? Right. What's going to be the direction of Boston schools, and where the hell are we going with this? And how are we going to get our children, all of our children, up to the point of being equal citizens in the education department? Right. If we don't do that, and there's still going to be this great divide between the children that make it and the children that don't, and the children that don't, there's a greater number of them, we're going to always have problems. Right. Okay, number two, police commissioner. That is essential. Who is going to be that person? I am one of the people that was instrumental in having Ed Davis removed from office. Because when I was at 106.1 FM, every day I went after Ed Davis and the mayor of Boston, the current mayor, Tom Menino. And I said, look, you two are linked. Here's some situations that this police commissioner has done. He didn't even speak to his black police officers. The mayor doesn't speak to his black police officers. There's your racial divide. There's your problems. If you can't speak to the people who are defending this city, do you know all the problems we have? Okay, that's two, priority two. Priority three, when you ask about Latinos, blacks, Asians, Hispanics, rising up to another level. Let me put it to you this way. There are 42 million people in this country who live below the poverty line. Until we find a way to address that issue alone, that issue, the country's going nowhere. Because we're always going to have that criterion of those above that line saying, I don't care about those people down there. And those people down there saying, I'd like to destroy those people up there. So consequently, what are you breeding? You're breeding something called revolution. And it may happen. It may happen in the streets of America. It could happen if the economy crashes again. It could happen if these crazy Republicans decide to shut down the government and something disastrous happens. You have a system where you've wiped out the breakfast program. Every educator will tell you in the world, a child eating in the morning is critical to them learning. We're wiping out breakfast programs. We wipe out welfare. We wipe out, and remember, a lot more white people receive welfare than black people. We're wiping out programs that kill the fiber of what America used to be about to me. America used to be a land, Steve, that cared about people. We are so cold as people that we don't care. And just as the Roman Empire fell, and the Russian Empire fell, and the European empires fell, we will fall too unless we get intelligent enough to start dealing with these social issues. You have this whole thing of the Affordable Health Care Act. Please don't ever use that other word, because I get so tired if you're an uneducated people talk about that. The Affordable Health Care Act, do you realize, have you ever read the whole thing? I have. It was written mainly by Republicans. Sorry, those are the facts. Republicans, that's their legislature. So President Obama comes in and says, that's what you want? No problem. Boom, let's do it. Then you want to turn around and start arguing over it. Then you want to start fighting it with 42 challenges after it's passed as a law, after the Supreme Court said it's still a law. So what I'm saying is, look at all the games I'm talking about. We could talk for hours, but this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of foolishness that has to stop. So on that note, we definitely will have to have you back again because we have to finish this. Unfortunately, we've got to go to the other side of the program. I want to thank you for coming on. You have always been that voice that advocates for what you believe is right and true and just. Will I ever get a chance to ask you any questions? In fact, I think on your show. Yeah, right. I'll have a show, and I'll invite you. I love it. So much. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. I really appreciate it. All right, look, folks, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to have Evan Falchuk here, who is the independent candidate running for governor of Massachusetts. Please do stay tuned.